Thank you so much for attending this session. And this session is for Seize the Cloud Revenue Opportunities with Microsoft CloudAscent. And this is the second session of the total seven sessions of webinar series. So we are very excited to share the more details about the CloudAscent and how you can actually drive campaigns with CloudAscent for the key scenarios. And actually, in this session, we will go through more step-by-step practical guidance with the Pete and Kate from the SMB team. So can you go to the next slide? So as I mentioned, that this is the second session of the total 7 sessions of series. And next slide. I would welcome 2 main speakers in this session. We do have Pete Hansen, Director of Business Strategy of Small, Medium, and Corporate Accounts. Will cover the first section of presentation and go over more details about the value of CloudAscent and how you can use it. And then Katie will go over more detailed step-by-step demos in this session. And with that, and I will hand it over this presentation to Pete. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Cindy, and thank you for the introduction. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Today, I'll just walk through fairly quickly a few slides that describe what CloudAscent is. This first slide, we always like to show just for context of what the opportunity is within SMB. At a worldwide level, there are 78 million small and medium businesses that we are looking at to identify opportunity and sell Microsoft products into. Just because this segment is such a large segment with a very diverse set of customers, we've created the subsegmentation that has 4 subsegments. At the very top is top unmanaged. The second is medium business, followed by small business and very small business. At top unmanaged, these are really enterprise type customers. They have large number of employees, they have complex IT environments and complex IT needs. We define top unmanaged as companies that have 300 or more employees, or also have compute or Azure opportunity of greater than $10,000 Azure potential. Medium, small, and very small are really defined by employee ranges. So medium business is 25 to 300 employees, small is 10 to 24 employees, very small is 1 to 9. The majority of the 78 million businesses sit within small business and very small business, but the majority of the total addressable market or IT spend sits within top unmanaged and medium business. So within CloudAscent, our priority and our focus area is knowing every single top unmanaged account, every single medium business account, profiling those accounts, scoring those accounts, and coming up with propensity that will help you target more effectively. Next slide, please. This slide really speaks to kind of the overview of what CloudAscent is. It's a cross-engine, cross-product propensity model program to calculate and more effectively target customers. We then assign sales plays on top of the propensity. We make the data available by partner, by customer, by propensity, and then we overlay sales play information, which you'll see when Katie runs through the demo. Next slide, please. This slide really speaks to the 2 types of propensity models that we create for each of our cloud solutions. At the bottom half of this slide really speaks to a model called the account fit. This model, think of as a lookalike model. The first thing that we do using AI and machine learning is we look at our best customers that already own a product. a profile is created for those accounts, and then that profile is searched for throughout the customers that do not yet own the product. That each of those customers gets scored. Those scores get then categorized into high, medium, or low groups. Intent is quite different. Intent is really based on behavior, where we're collecting signals about what customers and what their employees are doing in turn that will tell us if they have intent to purchase or are showing strong signals that they are interested in one of our products. We combine both of these models, and Katie, next slide, please, into this, what we call the cluster methodology. At the bottom half of the slide really speaks to that combination of both models where you see the overlap between the X and Y axis. Customer fit is the vertical arrow. Any account that scores high fit is categorized as Act Now in that dark blue row. Any account that, and then we overlay the intent signals on high fit. The intent cells, those darker blue cells, A1 through A4, can then be used to further prioritize within Act Now. Evaluate is kind of a close second. These accounts are scoring very high, have some level of intent. The combination of Act Now and Evaluate is what we describe as high propensity. So we think all accounts that are categorized as Act Now or Evaluate are evaluating products, they have intent to purchase. Our guidance is always to focus on Act Now and Evaluate. Nurture and educate those customers, our guidance is to deprioritize those accounts. They're just not ready, they're not showing enough signals. And then focusing on Act Now and Evaluate, you can further prioritize within the A1 through E8. Next slide, please. In addition to the propensity, and you'll see the propensity column show up in the data that we make available to you as separate columns. You'll see the fit, intent, and clusters for each of our solution areas. You'll also see sales play information. We have sales play information for Modern Work, Azure, and Dynamics, all of the sales plays that are listed on this slide. And within the data, we make this visible through columns that you can select yes or no. And it's just another way to prioritize and further target within your high propensity accounts. And Katie will demo that and speak to that in more detail as we move into the demo. Next slide. And with that, I'll hand it over to Katie.
Thanks, Pete. Let me just switch over and make sure that you guys can still see my screen. Are you able to see the desktop? I think I might need to reshare really quick my whole desktop.
I think if you just presentation mode.
Yeah. All right, are you able to see?
Not yet.
We can see.
Katie, I can see it.
Perfect, thank you. So where I'm at right now is I've actually gone into Partner Center and I have navigated to the dashboard section. So when you log into Partner Center at the beginning here, there's kind of a whole dashboard that we can navigate to. But I've navigated to the dashboard, which is kind of at the top of the tab here, and I've gone to Insights, and then within Insights, I'm in Customer Opportunities. Customer opportunities is where the CloudAscent data lives. So we're able to actually share transactional data with each of the partners. So you can log in to Partner Center. You can go in and look at the CloudAscent data from your transactions in these in this data set here. So we provide kind of a summary and an overview in this first section, and then kind of the customer propensity in this bottom section here. And it gives you a summary of those act now, evaluate, nurture, and educate accounts that Pete was talking about. At the top is actually probably the most important section for us. It's where you can actually go and download. So when we click on, say, this link here, it's going to take us to the download page. And you might get asked for help there. But you can actually select all of the CloudAscent downloads from this. So we have 4 different downloads that you can focus on in order to get your data: M365, D365, Azure, and Renewals. So today I'm just going to select the M365 and click Generate. And when I do this, you'll see that this data is now downloading, and it's saying it's in progress. And as soon as this is done, you can actually just click on this link and open up the download. And now you can see I have this CSV file here. And the file, I think you might not be able to see the file. Let me see if I can share that. Sorry, guys. Teams is a little tricky for me. And the file actually has all of the data from your partner information. So what you're going to see here is the MPN ID and the partner name. So this is going to be your information. Right now, we're looking at live data, so we've actually mocked this up. So the test account that I had logged into is an actual account for a partner. So what we have here is the partner information, and then we go into the customer information. So as we select the customer information, you're going to start seeing this is the customer ID, the DUNS number, the account name, the domain. Basically, all of the firmographics information is in this first section for the customer. So we're giving you the ability to identify who the customer is and where they kind of live from an industry verticals perspective, and also where they live from a Microsoft perspective, right? So Pete initially talked about that categorization of top and managed, medium, small, and very small, and how we'd recommend actually focusing on the top unmanaged and medium with priority. So one of the first steps as you look at your data is really to look at that top unmanaged and medium set of data and filter on those customers. Now, following the customer information and firmographics data, we get into, so this is still more top unmanaged to define if it's user or compute-based, which is compute-based is that Azure component where you have 10K and Azure 3-year potential. And user base is going to be for those seat-based products like D365 or M365. And after that, we start getting into the sales plays. So those sales plays that Pete mentioned at the beginning, where we looked at some of these enable remote work with targeting exchange online. There's a yes/no component of, is this customer a part of this sales play or not? And so you could filter on these sales plays as well. But even before you filter on the sales plays, I'd actually recommend navigating all the way over to the propensity so that you can start with the act now, evaluate, nurture, and educate, and get to those act now and evaluate customers. So for M365, you can see I have the M365 cluster. We also score for Surface. So you'll see a Surface cluster and O365. So depending upon the product that you're targeting, you can utilize the appropriate cluster. I'm going to demonstrate this with the M365. So you can see I'll filter to the Act Now and Educate. or excuse me, evaluate.
Katie,
Yes.
before you dive into that, there is a question in the chat. I thought we could take it now. The question says, we're not seeing anything here in customer opportunities.
Okay. So one of the things to note is that you do need to be in that executive report viewer role in order to see your customer opportunities. So if you do not have that role within Partner Center, we do recommend submitting a ticket to support in order to up your role and be able to do this downloading. If you do have that role and you're still not seeing anything, again, I would submit a ticket to the Partner Center team, and we can definitely navigate that. But one of the things that you do need to remember is that you do have to have transactions. We are scoring existing customers here. So if you do not have any transactions with customers through Microsoft, then we wouldn't have anything to show you in this download. So we are looking at existing customers and their propensity to purchase either more of the same product or their propensity to purchase other products that they may not have today. Does that clarify, Sydney?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
So with the M365 cluster, you can see now that I've filtered on the Act Now and Evaluate. So now we're looking at a subset of the customers with high propensity. And that's really what we want to focus on. These Act Now and Evaluate clusters are going to be the higher yielding customers. And really, they're the customers that are ready to buy. So once you've applied the Act Now filter, you can go back to those sales plays and start kind of reviewing through these. These should all line up currently to the FY21 sales plays. As we get into FY22, we'll be changing over to the FY22 sales plays as well. But what you can see is all of the headers here are really focused on, M365 E3 targeting for a migration to E5, right? So does this customer fit that profile? And if I, change this to yes, now I'm looking at the customers that are in top and managed and medium businesses that have high propensity for M365 that are targeted for E5 in this sales play. So this is how you can really narrow down and get a tailored list of customers to go after based off of the sales plays. And this content should align to what you're finding from the M365 team, for example, for supporting you and selling to these customers. And one other thing to note over here, I'm just going to go, we do have, so all of the things here we've been talking about are related to kind of propensity for the customer that doesn't have this. When we look at M365 and showing them as Act Now and Evaluate, we're looking at typically customers that do not have M365 today. But in some scenarios, we actually are seeing this as an upsell. So when this is marked as upsell, this is actually looking at, okay, this customer has M365 today, but they are likely to purchase more of this SKU or the one that they have today, or potentially upgrade, right? So based off of the sales play. So when we look at this and this says upsell, we're saying that the customer actually has the product today and they're showing high propensity and they fit this sales play. So you should talk to them about purchasing more of the same product and potentially upselling in this scenario to E5. When this is blank, this means that they do not have M365 today. So we're using a white space model in this case, and the customer is likely to still purchase it because they're showing Act Now, but they are not necessarily owning M365 today. Any other questions, Cindy, that I can take from the queue?
Not yet.
Okay, great.
Move forward.
So the last couple columns to kind of note in here is that we do have a few compete columns. So does the customer have Google or AWS? And do they have a renewal? So kind of looking at, you can go in and definitely download the renewal workbook itself. But you also can look at the renewals here if they have an EA or open renewal and utilize that for prioritization. So kind of to summarize all of this, when you log into Partner Center, you can actually go in, get your transactional data, download it, and then use this as a prioritization mechanism for high propensity customers to go and talk to them about their propensity to purchase these products and your business here in order to prioritize it. I think that's all I have this morning. Is there any other questions that we can answer for you?
Yeah, actually, we can open the question, and at the we mentioned that we will have about 5 minutes at the end for Q&A. So I wanted to open questions if you have any other questions about overall the CloudAscent in general, and also the specific sales plays that if you wanted to see as part of those demo.
Yeah, and actually I'm looking in the chat. I see in the Q&A section that there are 2 questions, so I will read them out loud. How is the propensity calculated? Example, what are the indicators that suggest that a customer is ready to move from E3 to E5? I'd like to empower our sellers to be able to essentially articulate why the customer is ready, even if they don't think they are.
Yeah, and this is Pete. I can take that one. It really kind of goes back to that one slide I was showing that described the account fit model and the intent model. In that specific question, identifying customers that have E3 and we're targeting those for E5, that some of the signals that we or the model evaluates in that very specific example would be, let's say a customer that has 350 employees has 20 seats of E3. That tells us that there's a big gap in the number of seats compared to the number of employees. We think we can sell more seats into that account and increase penetration of seats compared to number of employees. That would be one signal, positive signal that would come through the modeling. The other types of information that are being evaluated would be technologies that that company is using. Through the account fit and the intent model, we're able to identify what technologies the company is currently using. If they have a very complex IT environment, lots of security type technologies being deployed, that would be another example of a signal that would recommend E3 to E5. There are between the account fit and the intent model, there are thousands of attributes that are being evaluated every time we refresh this model. And I don't think I covered this. We refresh the data on a monthly basis. So as Katie pointed out, you can get that through Partner Center. Our recommendation is to download those files on a monthly basis, just so you're getting the most relevant refresh data. The propensity data does change every single month depending on the behavior of the customer and the account fit. An account after they purchase a product that they were modeled for, their account fit scoring will change. Their intent will change after they purchase. So recommendation is to download the latest file and make that a habit of just downloading the latest file rather than downloading, let's say 6 months ago and using that file. We've found that the data does change enough, and our recommendation is just download directly from Partner Center whenever you're using it.
Thanks, Pete. And one other question would be, is this exclusive to US market or is it available in any country?
All countries, yeah.
All countries, great.
We define that country based on where the customer is located, and we sell to all countries, have customers located in all countries within SMB.
Hi, Pete, in that Excel file that partners can find those country information, right?
Yeah, well, there's a couple fields that we create. One is called area. Area is a hierarchy, a grouping of countries into 14 different areas. You'll recognize all of those areas. And then you'll see another field called subsidiary. And subsidiary is pretty much a one-to-one map to country.
Got it. Thank you.
These just sit in columns J and K within that file that I was just sharing. So you guys can see that.
Yeah, and you'll see the city state zip
Yeah.
at the customer level too.
Another question, it's a bit hard for us to use this data without having view of the indicators. The speaker talked about the scenario of having 350 employees and only 30 E3 seats present an opportunity, or that the customer has a bunch of security tools that could be consolidated into E5. Hard to get our sellers to focus on one area if they don't have the insight from the indicators, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. It's a good question. And we're somewhat limited in the amount of information that we can share just due to our privacy and legal policies. But we do think that what we are sharing here does provide ample amount of data and signals. The propensity models and those thousands of attributes that are being evaluated. We bring those and group those into the clusters, the fit and the intent groupings, largely based on just ease of use. There's no way we can bring in that many fields into a workbook like this. As well as we're limited on bringing in, some actual data like number of seats or amount of revenue. Those things we just cannot bring in due to privacy reasons. Our recommendation is just to take a look at the data and send us feedback. So that's a great question. That's any type of feedback and questions like this allows us to go back to our privacy team and see if we can expand certain attributes and include them into the workbook.
Thank you, Pete. And looks like we are a bit over time. Cindy, if there is anything else you would like to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would like to thank you, everyone. In the next session, next Wednesday, we are going to cover more specifically Azure and the key opportunities in Sage Place with the tools that you can use. So please ensure to join in the next session. And I would like to thank you, everybody, including the speakers, Pete and Katie, to walk through this presentation, and also the audience who joined this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for the presentation. Just make sure you tune in to the Microsoft Partner Community to continue the conversation there. We will post the recording of this call on demand on the Microsoft Partner Community. So with that, we wish you a wonderful rest of the day or evening. Thank you. Bye.